All right, we have 6 o'clock, so I think we will go ahead and get started. Thank you to everyone who has already logged in. We do have a very short presentation for you to talk about moving forward with our remote and virtual learning options. And Dr. Cameron has prepared a presentation which he will take over and share with you now.
So Dr. Tallis, I'm going to attempt to share screen. And it looks like I have the ability to do that. So if you're able to see the PowerPoint, if you let me know.
Looks good, I can see it.
All right, great. So welcome everyone. Thanks for attending. Those of you who are able to make it in tonight. This is an important topic. We are at a point in our programming where we have some decisions to make. I hope that to date things have gone well for you. I want to commend, although I know that probably perhaps none of them are here this evening, our remote teachers for the work that they've been doing. This was a brand new learning opportunity for students, and as such it was brand new for our teachers as well, and they jumped in, took the bull by the horns, and by all reports are doing an outstanding job. I really appreciate their work, and I hope that you do as well. Tonight I want to talk about some program options. So originally when we set up the program, and we moved from a virtual computer-based program to a remote teaching opportunity for students, we asked parents to make a commitment to have their students participate through November 9th. And I do appreciate that parents have, for the most part, been true to their word with the program placement. It's been important to us because as enrollment shifts from program to program, that causes some staffing issues for us. So program options moving forward. After tonight's meeting, sometime tomorrow morning, Dr. Tallis will push out to parents of all remote learning and virtual elementary participants a survey that would give you an opportunity to reflect your intent for programming after November 9th, whether or not you want your child to continue to participate in remote learning or virtual learning, or return to face-to-face. Based on that data, we'll have to make some program decisions, and here's an outline of some program decisions that we are considering. The first one is this. If we have more than 50% of the participants at a grade level who express an intent to return to face-to-face, then we would plan on reassigning the remote learning teacher to face-to-face instruction, placing students who will be returning in face-to-face in that teacher's classroom at that grade level, taking the remaining remote learners and transitioning them to virtual programming through PathBlazer with periodic live teacher support, but no full-time, all-day-long remote teacher as we're offering now. So if you'll recall back to when we first started with different online options, that was our original online option. And so students that wanted to remain online in the event that more than 50% of students elect to return to face-to-face would be transitioned to more of a virtual learning program. Any students who are currently in virtual under this model can remain in their current programming and continue with asynchronous learning as they've been doing since the beginning. Option 2, if less than 50% of students elect to return to face-to-face instruction at grade level, then what we'll do is take students who are interested in returning, or parents who have expressed an interest in their student returning to face-to-face, and place them in one of the existing elementary face-to-face classrooms at that grade level. The remaining remote learners would continue in their current program with the remote learning teacher full-time all day as is scheduled right now. Virtual students who participate only through PathBlazer programming would continue to be able to conduct their asynchronous learning as they have done since day one. Option 3 is unlikely to happen. In fact, I'm not sure of the wisdom of it, but we wanted to make sure we brainstormed enough options to cover any scenario. If we see very unbalanced enrollment returns by grade level at a particular building, we would investigate and consider potentially combining some remote learners together in a split level or multi-age situation, which would mean that students would still have a remote teacher, however, it would not be full-time all day like it is now. A teacher would have to devote certain days of the week or certain hours of a day to different grade levels. And again, in that model, any virtual students who have been participating, not with a remote learning teacher, but virtually, could remain in their current program. Parents should understand that we are limited in terms of our options. We're not in a financial or staffing position to hire more teachers at this point. So we have to be able to provide our programming at our current staffing levels. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best thing by all of our students. But if we have more than 50% of our students that want to return, we need to make sure that we're not overloading existing classrooms. So here are some important dates for parents. The first one is a ways out, but that is Friday, March 26th. So if you elect to continue to have your student participate in whatever online option that we are offering, we'll ask that you make that commitment through Friday, March 26th, which is the end of third marking period. At that time, we would reevaluate, much like we're doing right now. So we'll seek some data, collect it, and make program decisions. We believe that the end of third marking period is actually an ideal time to conduct this work because many parents have expressed to us that they intend to have their children come back to full-time face-to-face instruction in the fall. And if that's the case, then that would give us an opportunity in the spring at the end of third marking period to give students time to re-enter and reacclimate to that full-day face-to-face situation. Other important dates, Wednesday, October 21st, is when we'll ask for all of our survey responses to be in, at which time you will have indicated your intent to either have your child return to face-to-face or to stay in online programming. Monday, March 15th, again, as I just said, would be an opportunity for us to collect surveys again and data and consider any additional program changes. And then, as I said, March 29th would be the first day of the fourth marking period, and whatever results we get from our March 15th survey, we would use to reconfigure programming for March 29th. We have had a few questions already roll in, and I think Dr. Tallis is monitoring in case we have any additional ones, but we know for sure one of the questions has been, will Imlay City Schools offer online learning options next fall, and if so, what would they be? We believe that the best online option we can offer is remote learning, like we're doing right now, and it is simply too early for us to commit to online programming. That option will be based on the status of the current pandemic and parent interest in online programming. So when we get into the spring, we'll make sure that we collect data from all students, all elementary students, to see what interest is, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at in terms of our pandemic and pandemic response. So it's a little early to commit to a programming option for next fall. Number two, parents sent in a statement that said, I will not send my child to school if he or she is required to wear a mask. When will students in the district no longer need to wear masks? Again, that's difficult for us to answer. We are subject to health department and governmental orders that require certain pandemic response mitigations, and masks are one of those mitigations. So we would have to rely on the local and state Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the state government, to be able to inform us as to the status of mask wearing. Number three, will I be allowed in the building at drop-off, pickup, or to volunteer if my child returns to face-to-face instruction? At this time, the answer to that question is no. We will have to continue to observe all of our safety protocols regarding visitors in the building. So if that is a deciding factor for you, you should know right now at this time the answer is no. That does not mean that that will not change in the future. I think all of us know that we're better off with more contact from parents than less. And optimally, we would have parents involved and engaged in the same manner that they have been for years prior to the pandemic. However, right now we are required through our preparedness plan and according to the directives of the state and the State Department of Health to carefully monitor who enters the building and have procedures in place really to prevent too many adults from being in the building, especially if they're coming from outside and not participating in our district staff screeners. So those are answers to those questions. Dr. Tallis, did you have any that cropped up that you'd like me to address right now before we sign off?
I got one in the chat box
Okay.
saying, today the news reported the highest numbers we have seen recently. Does this change any of the current plans?
We are monitoring that, and I guess what I would say to you is you need to remember that we take our cues from the State Department of Health and Human Services and our local health department, who can issue orders or edicts at any point in time. What we want to do, and if you'll recall all the way back to August, I think when we had our original parent meeting, is offer the perfect balance of buildings that are optimally safe and practices that are reasonable for us to be able to conduct. And I think to date, we've been able to do that. It's no secret to anyone that we currently have a kindergarten class that's out quarantined right now as a result of a probable case. And so I think that we'll continue to see that for schools throughout the county on and off, probably through the winter. We want to make sure that we're safe, and if we are in the same place as we are now, which is our phase 4 designation, we definitely would continue to offer online options and online instruction. Anything else, Dr. Tallis?
I was muted, I apologize. I just had one come in. My child is 100% virtual. He's completed the science and social studies. The math has been very hard, so he's been following along with the remote learners. How will you address this scenario if remote stops?
All right, and for that, the answer to that question, I'm going to refer back to you, Dr. Tallis, as our curriculum director in charge of instruction.
So if the remote happens to cease, then all of our virtual learners will be able to check in with an Imlay City Schools teacher. However, it will not be on the regular basis that it currently is. So it will be a pretty significantly reduced check-in and mirror more what we are seeing with our secondary students, where there's a bi-weekly or a couple times a week opportunity to check in with a teacher or communicate with teachers with questions via email or phone calls. So we'll still have that support, but there won't be that daily access several times a day, actually, as is currently with our remote students in the remote program that we're running.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is Pathblazer curriculum similar to in class?
Again, I would refer that to our instructional experts.
Yep, I will keep going, and Mrs. Bullhaggy and Mrs. Catoni, feel free to jump in if you think I'm missing anything. So it doesn't align lesson by lesson for the local curriculum that we're using, but it does have similar content and standards that would occur in a live face-to-face classroom. So I think that's the best answer to that one. Is there anything that you would add to that?
The only thing I would add is, you know, that the Pathblazer program was selected because it's aligned to the Michigan standards that we use to develop our local curriculum. So I think what parents might experience is a feeling of some disconnectedness in terms of the timeline of some of the instructional experiences, but could feel secure in that the educational opportunities that are offered through Pathblazer are based on the same standards that are used to develop Imlay City local curriculum.
One question came up, will parents have access to the survey results? So we will, once surveys are due, and I think that was part of your slide, we're asking families to complete the survey by next Wednesday, which is October 21st. So at that time, we will reach out to our remote/virtual families with what information we know and which direction we're moving in based on what those results are. So we will definitely reach out to all of our families with the information so that we can move forward come November 9th.
And I know our principals and teachers would attest that we don't have a goal in mind in terms of what program is offered. And we're not trying to get to that program via the survey. We will definitely use the information from the survey to guide what we do. And I know that principals and today, I'm sure teachers were engaged in some dialogue about the different opportunities that would be ahead of us. So the other thing is I can see just from looking at the screen here, we only have about 30 participants in this chat. So we're gonna have to make sure that we get an answer from everybody. And that may mean that we are tailing some phone calls and doing some other things to chase down all of the results. But I don't have any problem with those results being public. I think that's fine.
Sarah, I did receive your question because that is unique and individual to you. Both myself and Mrs. Buellhage will be reaching out to you to discuss that in more detail. Nicole says she missed the beginning. Will we be forced to do face-to-face, or will we be doing this the rest of the year? And then she asked if this would be posted for later. So we are recording this so that we can post it, and I will send it tomorrow morning. It has to go through a processing phase, and then we have to upload it to an accessible platform. So we'll upload it to our district YouTube. So I will be sending the email link out to all of the emails that we have on file. So you should get that along with the survey that we're asking you to complete.
And the short answer to that is no. No student will be forced to return to face-to-face. Based on what our enrollment shift is, the online program that you're currently engaged in may be altered.
We do have a couple more minutes. If anybody has any further questions, again, Sarah, I saw yours. Mrs. Buellhage and I will be reaching out to you to talk to you more individually about your questions. I do not see anything else.
Dr. Tellez, I did notice one question that I think you might have glanced over. A question just wondering if all kindergarten is in virtual classes now. So I think they were late to the program as well.
So I'll turn that over to Mrs. Buellhage. That question probably was in reference to our one quarantined classroom, but from my standpoint, the answer is no. We still have face-to-face classrooms and one kindergarten classroom, and their status in terms of being virtual is?
Mr. Stewart's class continues to be remote or virtual. We do have the one classroom on quarantine. They are not currently virtual. They are able to return back to class on October 19th. So we have sent home paper homework packets with them for their learning for this week. All the other classes are face-to-face and normal.
It looks like Tanya's got her hand up too, but Tanya, we'll need you to type your question in, if you don't mind, into the chat or the Q&A.
Oh, looks like our hand just went down.
Oh, okay.
And one just came into the chat box. Is there a link we can get to take a look at the Path Blazer curriculum for kindergarten? Yep, we do have that information. It is linked on some of our back to school webinars and posts, but we will post that again. We can send that. So Sandra, if you could email Mrs. Buellhage, she can reach out to you and we can get that information to you.
So I see Tanya's question. I can see it in the corner here, and that is, we'll ask for you to submit your survey by the 21st. Is that true?
Yep. And the
Yeah.
survey will come tomorrow morning via the email address that we have on file for you, the one that you've been receiving emails at.
And parents should feel comfortable also reaching out to building principals or to myself or to Dr. Tallis. We can be of help to you as well if you have more questions, or if you review this, or if you look at materials and you have additional questions, we'd be more than happy to spend time with you.
All right, I think Mrs. Catoni, Mrs. Buellhage, do you see any other ones?
I just see a quick question asking for email. All of our emails, oh, I see Dr. Tellitz, you just answered that, sorry. Yes, all of our emails though are accessible on the school website if you need to get a hold of us.
You can also email the info@icschools.us email. We do have that monitored daily, and we can reply through that email address as well.
Before we sign off, I just want to thank our parents as well. I know this has been a trying year. I know that this is, again, I said it's brand new for kids, it's brand new for teachers, and I'm quite sure that it's been new and at times very stressful for parents. Appreciate your efforts from home. You make all the difference. So thank you for attending tonight, and thank you for the work that you've done today.
All right. Look for that email in the morning with a copy of this presentation and the survey. Thank you.